guys, this is Del from Delirium Fitness. This is a video more intended to inform those of you who want to learn more about why you do things certain ways at the gym and what's going to give you the best results. It's also intended for any trainers who might want to get a quick reminder of the importance of range of motion in concentric and eccentric movements. Now, something that I notice at the gym a lot is people want to rush through their reps on the strength floor, or they're trying to get as many as they can in. And the truth is that on the strength floor, if you're doing strength work or if you're doing core work, it's more important to go slowly and to focus on form and range of motion than it is to go quickly and get as many reps as you can in. Quality is definitely better than quantity. So when we talk about working on the floor, we talk about range of motion. Range of motion basically means just that, and I'll give you an example of a small range of motion squat and a full range of motion squat. A small range of motion squat would be something small where you're not changing the angle of your knees as much. A full range of motion would be full flexion of the knees as low as you can go and full extension of the knees as high as you can go, squeezing through those kneecaps to make sure you're fully extended. So if you're ever doing a pulse, which is a good exercise as well, it is a small range of motion, but you still want to be at your lowest level of flexion for your knees possible. Okay? Now when we talk about flexing and extending, we are referring to joints. Right now, I am flexing my elbow. I am extending my elbow. Okay, people talk about flexing their bicep. You're not really flexing your bicep. You are shortening your bicep, and it's creating that look right there. So this is flexion, this is extension. And you're talking about that joint. So you have those two motions, flexion and extension of the joint, which either shorten your muscle associated with that joint or lengthen that muscle associated with that joint. The flexion is called concentric. That's the concentric movement of each exercise. The extension is called the eccentric movement of each exercise. Now it's incredibly important that you use both to the full advantage. A lot of people think that the most important part of any given exercise is just the concentric movement or the bending of the joint, the joint flexion. So you're gonna think about every time you're on the floor doing an exercise. Right now I'm getting a lot out of the movement by squatting nice and low, but I'm also getting a lot out of the movement by lengthening my muscles as much as possible, squeezing through my glutes, squeezing through my quads right here. So the concentric movement is important, but so is that eccentric movement. You have to pay attention to that. That is especially important when you're using things like, TRX. So with this TRX here, let's say I'm going to do some eye raises. As I'm coming up, my joint, my shoulder joint is moving up. This is the concentric movement. As I'm coming down, it's really just as important, if not more important, to fight gravity on the way down and use both the up as work and the down as work. What I see a lot of is this, up, and then down, and then up, and they're swinging through. So you really want to focus on every movement counting, no swinging, no momentum. Also think about that even when doing something as simple as a bicep curl. Here's a full flexion of my elbow joint. My muscle is shortening. As I come down, if I stop right here, I'm not getting the full range of motion and I'm not getting the full benefit of the exercise. If I straighten it all the way, I have that extra 2 inches. I'm going from full flexion to full extension to full flexion, really working through. Here's my concentric and my eccentric. You don't just swing them down or let them go down, or you really fight gravity. So I'm getting all the work on both sides of that movement. So I just want to encourage you guys to think about both sides of that exercise. The flexion, the extension, the concentric, the eccentric, It's all important, so you don't just want to rush through any part of one exercise. And it also is good to work in smaller range of motions when that is the purpose and that is the intention of the exercise. But in general, you want to make sure you are full range of motion, which means fully extending whatever joint you're working and fully flexing. All right, guys, I hope you found that informative, and I look forward to seeing you. Any questions you can post below.